Hi, it's Mark Marmer from Signature Electric. So I woke up this morning to this lovely dusting of snow on the car, and I thought, perfect opportunity to reach out and talk about winter driving tips. What's different with an EV? What can we do differently? How do we have to think about it a little bit differently? Everybody talks about range as being something to be concerned about. The batteries operate the same exactly in the cold weather as they do in the warm weather. It's not that cold out here, but the snow gives us a feeling of winter weather. So I'll show you what we can do to sort of get ready in the morning, how a routine might look for somebody with an electric vehicle, and walk through a regular setup and talk about the differences between an electric vehicle and a gasoline vehicle. A lot of us are lucky enough to have our cars parked inside. We have two cars, so we end up with one inside and one outside. And the kind of preconditioning that we might do with a car that's outside, we could do this same thing with the car that's inside. Keep in mind, it's not like you were starting up your gasoline vehicle in the garage and you would have all these fumes. If you wanted to warm this car up, you could do the exact same thing that we're doing outside, inside. Of course, we don't have to worry about the snow on the windshield, but the possibility is there. So, you know, a lot of times people will still do this and wanting to get into a nice warm car first thing in the morning. So we'll show you how to do that with the car outside, but keep in mind that we could do the same thing with this car. So typically when I get up in the morning, if it's going to be cool outside and I want to precondition the car, I'll head into my app, which is the app for my car, and I'll just hit the climate button. So it's telling me it's 11 degrees inside the car, which I'm not sure it exactly is. And we can go to turn on climate. So that'll set it for 22 degrees. It's heating the steering wheel. A lot of times if you want to get the snow off, we'll just turn on to high. That'll get the heat blowing. And I could, if I wanted to, I could turn on the seat heater if I wanted, or if I had a passenger, I would do that. So I would do this in advance. And particularly, it's not too bad out there now, but a lot of times if you've got ice accumulation, this helps her to get the ice broken up a bit, and it'll get the cabin warm. The other thing that's happening at the same time is it's preconditioning the battery, which is very important. It'll start the battery warming and will help. If the weather's very, very cold, it'll help to get the battery started. The other thing is that the car's plugged in right now. Let's plug into the house power. So if this is using a bit of power and you're not wanting to use reduce the mileage on the car and reduce the range, you could do this before you unplug the car. And usually a day like this, I might go out and shovel the driveway a little bit while this is happening and then clear off the car. So we'll go back and we'll take a look and see what that all looks like. Okay, so we've got the car preconditioned now. Some of the snow has come off the windshield, now the cabin's heated up. So what I usually do is clear away the snow here and unplug the car. We want to make sure that we get whatever snow's here so that this closes properly. There we go. Everything, and it almost closed properly. A little bit of ice there. There we go. Everything's a bit stiffer in the winter. Clear off the back. Okay, so we've got the car all preheated, warmed up, and we've got the snow off the car, so we're all set. Now, the idea is, I think, in part to talk about range. In most cars, for day-to-day driving, range isn't that big of an issue. Even if we lose a percentage of our range, except in the cars with very small batteries, it's not that much of an issue. But when we're taking a trip, we're really trying to get the best we can out of our range. So just like a gasoline vehicle, one of the things we should be concerned about is our tire pressure. A lot of the cars now, including this car, do keep a track of the tire pressure and will warn you when the temperature gets lower. The tire pressure can be affected by that, and it could be necessary to add a little bit of air. Tire pressure is important for range. Tire pressure is important for range in gasoline vehicles and in electric vehicles. The other thing is that winter driving in general is a little harder on mileage or kilometers, whatever you want to call it. So in a winter driving scenario on the highway, Even a gasoline vehicle may lose 20% of its range. But in an electric car, because we have to consider the operation of the battery and what have you, and the fact that in particular the heat in the car is not coming from the leftover heat of the engine, but is actually having to be produced through the electricity, these things affect it, and you can lose as much as 40%. So again, this depends on the range of the vehicle that you're in and how far you're going to drive. But these are important factors and things that we'll touch on in this video. Okay, so we're talking about taking a trip. So let's plan a trip. Let's plan a winter trip. I don't think we're actually going to go, but we'll plan it and we'll see what it looks like. So let's say we decided to go to Sudbury. From here, that's pretty much straight north. That's a winter trip. Right now, that's showing me a lot of the superchargers on the way, and we're trying to calculate out a route. So the car's got 549 kilometers here. It's showing me it's 385 kilometers to Sudbury, and when I arrive there, I'd have 5% battery left. But there's a message here. It's telling me to stay below 115 kilometers to reach the destination. So it thinks that the car, even taking into consideration everything, might make it. But when you see this is an interesting message. Driving the car at a slower speed over the same distance is a big advantage. Speed makes a big difference. So up on the 401 at 120 kilometers an hour, or the difference of, say, taking Highway 7 at for the same distance at around 100 kilometers an hour will make a big difference in terms of range. And you can pretty much be sure that based on this message that the car's probably not going to quite make it there. That being said, we have lots of options for charging along the way. We could stop in Parry Sound or in Barrie, so we would probably be fine. This is interesting and good information. Anybody that has an EV is planning. This is something they're doing now. They're planning their trip out and they're thinking about how they want, what they're going to do. There's charging in Sudbury as well. So when we got to Sudbury, we'd be able to charge. This is showing just the Tesla superchargers because we're just on the Tesla map. But if we had, say, our Nissan Leaf, we would use maybe a different mapping software and be able to be looking for the level 3 chargers that are on the way to our destination. So we talked about extending our range by limiting our speed. But one of the more important things that we can do in the car, if we're really needing to, whether we have maybe a low mileage car or we're just trying to stretch out our battery usage, is to turn off the heat. The heat uses an enormous amount of energy and really accounts for a lot of the difference between with our reduced battery range. So in order to do that, we could set the, in this case, the steering wheel heater and maybe the seat heater. If we're dressed warmly enough, simply turn off the heat, and maybe we can manage quite nicely with that. Just depends on how cold it is and what's happening outside. If we can turn that off, that'll make a big difference in terms of the range that's available in the vehicle. So we focused a lot on how we're going to manage these trips for distance and how we're going to make the best use of the batteries that we have. As things are moving forward with EV charging, we're getting cars like this car with longer range, which is making things much easier. We're having to think about a lot less, and we're starting to have quite a rollout of level 3 and chargers that make it both not just from Tesla but from other manufacturers. The government is getting behind it. As more cars come on the road, batteries become more reliable, longer ranges, more charging places. All this will become of less and less of concern. I'm positive if we look at this video 5 years from now, we're having concerns about things that won't necessarily be as important. I wish everybody a safe and happy winter. Use some of these tips where you need them. Let's look to the future in terms of vehicles. If you need anything else in terms of questions about charging and chargers installed or what have you, we're Signature Electric. We're in Toronto. If you're looking for more information like this, you can reach us at our website, signatureelectric.ca, or if you want to see more videos like this, on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/signatureelectric. Wishing everybody the best.